I was a wee young boy, working as a slave from the minute I was born. You see, folks from my plantation were beaten and treated awfully. I never knew my birthday, or my age for that matter. But it did bother me why the white folks knew theirs. When I was about 1 year old, my mother and I got separated, sold to different masters. Saw her run 5 times after that, all in the night, of course. It's not safe for slaves to escape in the day. Her farm was about 20-something miles away from me. Long walk after a long day's work. I suppose my mother died when I was about 7. That's when the visits ended. As for my father, well, I never knew the guy. I've heard he was a white man, but I've never met him. Don't even know his name. Most slaves never learn to read or write, but not me. My master's wife taught me when I was about 12. And I taught it to my friends and other slaves, of course. And as soon as I got the hang of reading, I got my hands on human rights books, and learned that slavery is messed up. Made a promise to myself to make a difference for us slaves, to stop this madness. Well, the issue was, I was stuck in this farm, and I had to get out. So I devised a plan, set off. And it failed, and I got caught. But us slaves never give up, so I tried again. I escaped in 1838, I believe. It's an interesting story, it is. Dressed in a red shirt, loose black scarf, and a tarpaulin hat. Something to resemble a sailor. I made my way unrecognized onto a train headed for Philadelphia. And it worked. I was free. Anna Marie, the girl that helped me escape slavery, the woman that I married, and the mother to our 5 children. We met in New York. She was also free, but was born free. Unlike me, who was born into slavery. We were married 40 years we were. However, my job often got in the way of spending time as a family. As a part of abolishing slavery, I knew President Lincoln had to allow African Americans to fight in the Civil War. So I set off to meet him. Got to the White House and encountered lots of white people waiting outside just like me. It would take half a day to get through that line. Nevertheless, handed the messenger my card on why I was there, and within 2 minutes I was walking through the front doors of the White House. Didn't even have an appointment set up. Let's just say the folks outside were not too happy about that. I've written at least 5 books in my day, some about being a slave, some about abolishing slavery. I'd say I was a pretty successful writer, I was. I also did speeches. Around 500 people would see my speeches. 12.5 cents per seat. Of course, that's like $3.51 today. My most famous speech is What to the Slave is the 4th of July. I gave this speech to the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Society, I did. I said, the 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. Meaning that because I was a slave, I cannot celebrate Independence Day like the white folk do. I must mourn the losses of my brothers and sisters. How did I become an abolitionist? It was when I moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts. I started attending abolitionist meetings and learned lots of things. I quickly found the writings of William Lloyd Garrison, an abolitionist. We eventually met, and he encouraged me to become a public speaker. It wasn't easy being a speaker, it wasn't. I once went on a 6-month tour around the U.S. and got physically assaulted. Many times. I suppose people don't like it when I'm trying to get rid of their slaves, they don't. As the Civil War broke out, I worked day and night to advise President Lincoln to support abolishing slavery. We were a team, Lincoln and I. However, I did disagree with him about the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Though it did end slavery, it didn't allow us ex-slaves the right to vote. And after all that tireless work and fighting we did for the country, it just wasn't fair. In the end, it all worked out, I suppose. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments sure helped save us slaves. The 13th being the one that made slavery illegal. Sure abolished slavery quick, that one did. The 14th gave us African Americans the rights we should have had the second we entered the country. And then there's the 15th, the one that let us vote. I love that one, I do. I am Frederick Douglass. Thanks for listening. I am Frederick Douglass. Frederick. I am Frederick Douglass. Hello. Oh my gosh. Why is my sleeve? There we go. Working as a sleep. But it did bother me. Why the what? What? I was a wee young boy. That was a good one.